citizens that left material out there, if we, the city, go back to pick it up, and we know whose stuff it is, there's a $60 charge to go pick it back up. Another way to do that would be you can rent, the city has a rent-a-truck program. You can actually rent the dump truck, fill it up with all the stuff you want, then we'll come pick it up and take it to the landfill for only $30. So there's two avenues to get some things picked back up. Or feel free to haul it off yourself.
Sure.
That's the report.
Thank you. Any questions for Mike on it?
No.
It's nice service, but I have noticed there are quite a few chairs and couches and other items being left on the curbside. But thank you for that update on not only calling you and either picking up for a charge or having the rent-a-truck service as well, that people can either do those two different ways, or
Sure,
like you
sure.
said, or they can take it themselves. But
Absolutely.
try to keep our community as nice as possible. And that's why you provide this service every fall and spring, is just to help keep our community looking as nice as it is. So thank you for the update, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Items 7B through G are staff reports. Are there any questions on those staff reports?
Any questions? Nope, I think we're good.
Meetings of note, you'll see a few things there would draw your attention to the KDOT and the Development Corporation meetings that would require RSVPs. If you could do those through CLN, I'd appreciate it. I think we're ready for 9A. That's the appropriation ordinance. If approved, it would be 2529-2021A.
Entertain a motion on that.
Move that
ordinance.
we approve ordinance 2529-2021A.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Dick. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Euler. Any discussion on that item? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed.
It's not quite 1:30 yet, so we'll skip 10A, move to 10B. The governing body is asked to consider and approve a tree nuisance resolution. If approved, it would be resolution number 2875-2021, and it removes a nuisance at 801 Pat's Drive. Carol.
Yes. Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners.
Mhm.
We do have a resolution oh, this is weird. It's like I can hear myself. To remove a tree. This is at 801 Pat's. This case began back in August of 2020, where there was a report. We went, our code enforcement talked to the owners. They realized, yes, you're right, our tree is dead, we need to remove it. We're having some COVID issues, can you give us some time? We did give them time. The condition was that they kept in contact with staff, let us know what's going on. They did this, they kept doing extensions all the way through February of this year, and we have not heard back from them since February 9th. Been trying weekly to get a hold of them, they're not responding. And so we're moving forward with the resolution to remove the tree. If this is approved, staff will take care of hiring a company to remove the tree. The bill will be sent to the property owners, and if they are unable to pay it, it will go on to their property taxes as a lien.
Okay, entertain a motion on this resolution.
I'll make the motion to approve the city to move forward with the resolution.
Commissioner Ortiz made a motion for approving resolution 2875-2021. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Euler. Any discussion on this item? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Item 12A, the governing body is asked to consider and approve the application for federal assistance for the Garden City Regional Airport Terminal design, part of AIP project 03-20-00-24-45-2021. Rochelle.
Good afternoon. This is, like Matt said, commonly referred to as AIP 45. We'll shorten it. So this is the design of the airport terminal. Previously, you guys approved task orders for the design. However, the fiscal year for AIP funding was not available, but now we're in grant season, so that's why this is being presented to you. There is different portions of the terminal that are AIP eligible and some areas that are not. So the total design is about 1.9 million, and about 650,000 is city share of that. So about 1.2 million for federal funding. Excuse me. So with the rest of the terminal project as we go forward, we are still looking to bid out in the summer, and once we bid out in the summer, then we'll bring the second grant to you that would be for the actual construction of the facility.
Sounds good. Entertain a motion on this item for approval.
I move that we approve the application for federal assistance regarding City Regional Airport Terminal Design, Airport Improvement Program AIP 45.
Thank you.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Dick. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Euler. Any discussion on this item? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed. Thank you.
Item 12B, the governing body is asked to consider and award low bid for the asphalt paver to Foley Equipment for $89,655. Mike?
Good afternoon again, Mayor and Commissioners. Excuse me. The street department, we advertised and opened bids on April 9th at 10 a.m. for a new asphalt paver. 4 bids were received, and all had some minor exceptions noted in their bid. However, reviewing them, all exceptions were acceptable, and all 4 bids were deemed reasonable. The 4 bids were as follows. Foley had 2 bids, so Foley number 2 was for $89,655. Barry Tractor submitted a bid for $134,000. Foley's number 1 bid was for $138,755.66, and Van Keppel submitted a bid for $175,445. The consideration for today has a long lead time of 12 to 24 weeks, and this was not approved by the governing body and is not budgeted in the fiscal year 2021 budget. What was approved for the 2021 budget was a new salt sander spreader box, a replacement of a 1984 tractor, a brush hog mower, and the buyback cost for a skid steer loader. It's the staff's intent to request the governing body's consideration to amend the approved 2021 budget during the upcoming budget hearings to include this additional funding to purchase the asphalt paver. In addition to the equipment already approved, it would be that paver. If the governing body chooses not to amend the 21 budget, then the equipment previously approved would not be purchased. The asphalt paver will be used for smaller projects in the community where larger equipment is difficult to maneuver, areas such as Tally Trail, the narrow streets up in Valley View Cemetery, which need to be overlaid here pretty quick from when we put in the irrigation system up there. And in some cases, it will be used for smaller asphalt street repairs where we currently require concrete because we have no way of putting that asphalt down. Many times over the years, we've needed the asphalt's available, but the equipment is not available. So we're depending upon contractors to be able to come in, and that just doesn't work as well as we'd like it to. So the equipment, if you approve this, would allow city crews to be able to lay down the asphalt in some of the smaller areas. The bid or the budget that you're going to consider here in just a little bit is in Melinda's presentation shortly. So the way I worded the alternatives would be to award the bid to Foley Paving, to Foley Equipment for $89,655, reject all bids and direct the staff to rebid the asphalt paver, or you could just direct us to do something completely different since this was not approved in the 2021 budget. And the funding would come from the streets operations GL code new equipment, and it currently has a balance of $116,600 that, like I said, was going to be used to purchase that other equipment. If you approve this and you don't approve the amend to the 21 budget, then that other equipment will not be purchased. Or if you don't approve the paver, we'll move forward with the other equipment. We recommend you move forward with the paver, and then when the budget time comes, I'm going to recommend that as approval also. And certainly answer any questions you may have.
Any questions?
So the equipment that you had that we had approved for the budget for 2021, that's still going to need to be replaced at some point, correct?
At some point, that's
Okay.
correct.
And so would you want us to, would we have to amend the approved budget now?
You don't have to do it right
Okay.
now. Melinda will be presenting
After,
that
okay.
shortly. If you approve this bid, then, and you don't amend the budget, we won't buy that additional equipment.
Okay.
Sorry if I wasn't clear on
No,
that.
I think it's a good, I think a great example would be for this equipment to be in use is I'm talking the asphalt paver, is the Spruce Construction, yes,
Yeah.
that road was
Mhm.
a good example of that asphalt being available, but it wasn't laid down correct, or wasn't
Yeah,
roaded correctly.
we used the equipment that we had available,
Yeah.
and obviously it wasn't sufficient.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Entertain a motion on this item.
I move to award the asphalt paver bid to Foley Equipment for $89,655.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Dick. Is there a second?
I'll second.
So-
Do we need to clarify that's Foley number 2? Foley equipment number 2, or is it?
Well, it's,
Yes.
that's
It's in the price.
Price.
But yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, we have to identify the appropriate Foley bid, and it's the one for $89,655.
So I'll second it with the statement that being Foley number 2.
Okay. There's been a second. Any other discussion on that item? None being all in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay. That
Aye.
item passed.
Thanks.
Item 12C, the governing body is asked to consider construction of a new spray ground at Garden Rapids at the Big Pool. New splash pad.
Hello again, Commissioners. So as we're going through construction at Garden Rapids, originally the spray grounds was meant to be kept. However, in trying to bond and ground that facility to the new aquatic park, it was discovered that there were several deficiencies in the point-to-point grounding, and therefore poses a risk of electric shock. So unfortunately, we can't keep that existing splash pad. So what's before you today is an alternative to construct a new one in its place. With the funding, the generosity of the Finnitt Foundation to fund a large portion of this, plus some savings we saw in the electrical during the construction to fund the other $100,000 for a total budget of $330,000 to construct a new spray pad. So that's what's before you today. I would entertain some questions. Todd's here as well, because if we get into kind of the technical electrical stuff, I'll be honest, that's out of my depth. So I'd entertain questions or.
I was just curious on how it actually, I understand like all of the professional teams coming out and doing the testing, but was there something that happened? Did something get hit or cut?
So, one of the things that we're required to do is take the two grounding systems, the existing one on the splash pad and the new one, and tie them together so that they will have the same resistance. So when we got to that point of connecting them, our electrician, he did his own test on it, did some due diligence, and the resistance readings he was getting were significantly different. He then went and tested the existing grounds, every point-to-point connection, and found some major discrepancies. And it was at that point we got a third-party testing agency involved, and they reviewed each one and found of the 12 features, 7 of them had completely open connections, which means there was essentially no grounding present on them. And we're not saying anything was installed improperly, it's just, all we can say is at this time, those 7 of the 12 were not working. The ground, once it left the splash pad, was good, but the reinforcing in the concrete was giving us different readings as well. So it just posed a potential risk for the city. And I think everyone's read the letters there. It gave a great deal of concern to Mr. Alex Wallace as well. And so we just felt it was in everybody's best interest, first and foremost, to bring that information to light, and then just see what the best course of action was going to be. And unfortunately, it looks like the best course of action is to remove it. So that was kind of the timeline of how and when things happen there.
Okay.
So are we putting it, are we going to put the, we're going to, with this, are we putting it back in the same area? Or,
Generally speaking, yes, it may not be exactly where it was. It may be to the north or to the east a little bit, maybe back to the south. We're currently working with Confluence and WTI to decide where the best spot is going to be. We've floated a couple ideas around of location-wise, because there are some problem areas in that in the east side of the park where it's just low line and it's always been kind of a mud hole over there. And so we've talked about maybe putting it down there. And so we went to all of our trade partners and said, hey, if we do this, what's a rough order of magnitude? And so that's how we got to the budget that we're at. It does utilize the existing equipment that's over there. And when I say equipment, I'm talking about pumps.
Mhm.
I'm talking about the existing drain lines and supply lines, the existing power that's over there. So you get a lot of benefit in financial benefit by utilizing the existing infrastructure. We'll still have new pipes that once they leave that existing infrastructure, that would connect to all the play features. So if you're going to do one, it's going to be a relatively inexpensive option versus going and doing a standalone one. But at the same time, it's a lot of money, and so that's the commission's decision to make as to whether that's good to spend or not. So.
Will it fit within the current timeline and current schedule to be able to get it in, or?
No, it will not be. We've given a preliminary, just a rough schedule, and I think at this point it'd probably be about mid-August before that would be operational, just due to lead times on play feature items and embedded concrete items as well. But we would utilize the last portion of May to start doing the building pad and doing the underground rough and all of that while we're still there. But there would definitely be some downtime while we're awaiting fabrication of materials.
so is that going to interrupt the rest of the aquatics facility then?
No, and that was also one of the benefits of pulling it away, was it could kind of be its own little project over there. We'd still have site fence up around it to make sure that people stay out and there's no one really being impacted by it.
Okay.
So I would like to point out, even though its construction wouldn't necessarily be done until kind of mid-August, with the spray grounds, you can actually run it longer. So the opportunity for use, especially with the way our falls are, we wouldn't necessarily shut that down at the same timeline as the pool. In fact, depends on how the fall goes, but you could easily run that to November sometimes.
Mhm.
So just so you're aware of that.
Okay.
We had 80-degree days in January, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Just not in April, you know?
Yeah.
Not an April 23-degree night.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might be risking it in January.
Sure. Any other questions from the commission? Entertain a motion on this item then?
Move that we approve the new splash pad.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Dick. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Euler. Any other discussion on this item? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed. Thank you very much.
And we certainly want to publicly express our gratitude for the Finnip Foundation for being willing to be part of this conversation. We know that the overall budget to this project is very important to the commission. We knew that this, finding an answer to this would be difficult. We wanted to see if the commission could have an alternative that would net still get you where you wanted the project to be. The Finnips were interested in doing that. So a special thank you to Caverly and Amy and the rest of the Finnip Foundation trustees for wanting to step up and be part of this project. It's important to them because of the park, and they wanted to see it happen.
Sure, definitely.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We're almost to 1:30. Do we want to
Yeah.
step back to our 1:30?
Yep. And read
hearing?
slow.
Yeah.
The 1:30 is a public hearing for and this is item 10A, a public hearing for the consideration to adopt the development plan and establish the Rural Housing Incentive District for Chapel Heights 4th Edition by ordinance. And this would be, if approved, 2897-2021. So I think the appropriate order would be to open the public hearing, have Melissa give you the background, and then let anybody else speak to the matter.
Opening the public hearing at this time. Melissa?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. We bring before you the Chapel Heights 4th Edition RHID that would like to be approved. This development is near East Mary Street and North Jenny Barker Road. It is the 4th phase of development for the overall Chapel Heights residential development and will consist of 49 lots. The developer, Chapel Heights LLC, intends to build single-family detached homes. Price points for these homes will possibly range from $210,000 to $280,000. This phase of development estimates homes will be built over the next 5 years with an average of 10 homes per year being built. The development is seeking to be reimbursed for $2,191,709. That amount was amended just yesterday due to the rising cost of materials. They requested we amend those portions of their development agreement, and those pages should have been submitted to you to see, essentially for water and sanitary sewer lines. According to our latest community housing assessment team study, to meet our housing needs, we need to build 120 units of housing per year. Based on the current RHID feasibility analysis from other existing RHIDs, we predicted an estimated 163 homes to be built. In 2020, however, only 61 houses were completed. With 61 houses, we met our housing need by only 51%. And therefore, according to our chat study and the rate of housing development, Garden City shows a need for housing to be built within this development. Like other developments, if this ordinance is passed, should our taxing entities want to protest or have an adverse effect on their entity, they do have a right to submit a letter, pass a resolution, and submit that to us within 30 days. If no such resolutions are passed, then the ordinance is in effect. The fiscal note, again, the developer will be using private finance to fund these costs. They get a tax rebate incentive to refund the amount of the infrastructure. And again, that amount that we're seeking approval for today is $2,191,709. The alternatives before you, you may approve the attached ordinance or you may not approve the attached ordinance. Staff recommends alternative 1. And I can answer any questions.
Would draw
Is
the
there-
commission's attention to the difference between the number Melissa gave you, which is handed out on the bench, versus the number that's in the
packet.
the agenda item. It's about $25,000 more. I think that represents some slight increases in one of the other eligible cost section, or one of the,
It's under sanitary sewer and the water line extensions.
okay, thank you.
Is there any questions by the commission? Does the public have any questions on this? None being, I'll close the hearing. Commission would like to entertain a motion on this item at this time?
I don't know if I wrote the number, what was the ordinance number again, Matt? 2897?
2897.
Okay.
Yeah, 2897-2021 is the
Okay,
ordinance.
I move to approve ordinance number 2897-2021.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Euler. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Dick. Is there any other discussion on this item? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, opposed, nay. That item passed. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. The commission is ready, I believe, by my list, 12D, the budget?
Yep.
All right, so we'll invite Melinda up. And then just for housekeeping notes, afterwards, the commission's removing item E from this agenda, which was an executive session. So following the budget report by Melinda, you'll have the consent agenda item and the
Commissioner
commission
comments. Sounds good. Hi, Melinda.
How are you doing?
You can have this table. If you'd like
Are you
to
sure?
spread your stuff out. Yes, please.
So I think it looks like everybody got their budget books. I just wanted to go through some of the items that are here in the front. So you have your calendar for this year,
Hey,
for your 2022.
Melinda.
adoption of the
Melinda,
budget.
right quick, do you want to move the mic closer to you so people can hear you? And is it on?
Yeah, it is.
It's on.
There you go.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, so you've got the budget calendar. The dates are specified in there. There is one date that I added, and it happens to be a town hall meeting date in case you need a special budget meeting. I thought it might be good to fill that in
Sure.
for there. So that's the only change from prior years. The background information, you've got your budget process in here. You've got the budget assumptions that we have for the 2022 budget that we are using for percentages for CAPERS, KPNF, any new equipment items, and health insurance. We also have our financial policies. Our governmental funds, we have an additional one this year. It's Fund 72, the Parks and Recreation Fund. That used to be their own entity, but they're combining in with us this year. You have all your special revenue funds, enterprise funds, and internal service funds. The next section is your goals that we have a draft copy in here from April 2nd. We like to keep those in front of you during the budget process. Also, there is the 2021 Capital Improvement Program that we will be referring to as we go through departmental budgets. You also have the 2022 projects that we'll be looking at funding for the 2022 budget. The debt info is in here. The first page is the general obligation bond debt. And as you know, last year we ended up bonding the aquatics facility. We decided to go ahead and do that early. So when you come down here in 2021, that increase is slightly over what you approved last year, the $2.2 million. When we go into 2022, that's where you're going to see the big increase with the addition of the debt that we issued last year, $3,171,000. I'll go through some strategies that we have for that to get that paid off in a different manner for 2022. Special obligation bonds, this is the TIF project that we have at Shulman Crossing. It pays off in 2035. The revenue from the property taxes at Shulman Crossing pay this debt. So, and then the utility fund, general obligation debt. You see the electric fund up on top and the water and wastewater down below. Those items are budgeted for in their enterprise funds. Then we go to the items that we're going to be discussing today. The first budget that we're going to look at is Fund 04, the TIF fund. Now, this is kind of an in and out fund with the CID that we have, the TGT, which is the transient guest tax for the water park. It also has the RHID distributions. So what happens on all of these, the money comes into the city. The RHID money comes in from the county from property taxes paid on those RHIDs. And then the city turns around and pays back the developer. And we're tracking all of that information so that when you just saw the approved costs for Chapel Heights 4, we have to track all those property taxes to make sure once they hit that number, we quit doing the distribution to the developer and the money then goes to the taxing entities. So that's kind of a long process. It's about a 15-year process. Our first RHID that we started was Pioneer Road, and that was started in 2014. And so one of the first ones to be paid off will be that one, and it'll be in 2029 approximately. So as you can see, all of the money coming in here under revenues under 2021 and 2022. The Schulman Crossing tax distribution, Garden City 3950.01, that's the property tax from Schulman Crossing properties. And then down in the expenses, you will see in 6507 and 6510, the principal and interest on those bonds. Otherwise, the money is all coming in and out. We do have a cash carryover going into 2023 of $1,519,300. That's how far we are ahead on paying off that debt on Schulman Crossing. So that you could maybe have a 1 or 2 year early call on those bonds. The 05 fund is the capital improvement reserve. It carried over $1,979,724. And this is an accumulation of funds over various years. So I'll just go down through some of the revenues and expenses. We did run the CERG Emergency Response Fiber Grant through here. So we do have some money that's going to be coming in once they close out that grant in 2021 of $263,272. We also have purchase card rebates in here of $22,000. We use that for art projects throughout the city. There are various fees that are charged at the FinUp Center and at the zoo. We record donations in here. If people want to donate to the fire department or the police department, we can put them in here and they can use them for their programs. The expenses in 2021 are exactly what we carried over at the start of the year. There are some fairly large ones in there of carryover funds. As we go down through here, we have development incentives, $100,000 this year and next year that could be used outside the city's budget. It's recorded in here. The Recreation Commission has $69,672. At your last meeting, you just approved for that to be used for the cabanas. Going on to the next page, we have City Link money that we carried over for shelters. The police department has $445,909 that they've carried over that they're going to be looking at the remodeling costs at the LEC that they need to get done and some other equipment. The Tiger Grant still has funds left over of $111,000. And then coming down, we do have money left over for Pioneer Pathway, $103,000. If you have some improvements that you would like to see done on that pathway, you can use this money. And one of the most important one here is the transfer bond and interest. Last year, we made a decision to move all of the aquatics money that was left over in the general fund and the fiber money that we got the grant for in the general fund. Amounted to $700,000. And so we're using $250,000 to transfer to the bond and interest fund in 2021. That way your mill levy doesn't change in that at all. And then we're going to be utilizing the balance, the $450,000, to assist with mill levy reduction in Fund 40. So that'll help you out a lot in these 2 years. There is carryover money of $500,000 that we would be transferring from departments this year to carry over into next year. We ask that the departments use this money first as they see fit and leave the money in the general fund if they can not have to spend it, so. Any questions on Fund 5? The CD loan fund is for home insulation loans or any sort of home improvement loans that are approved by the loan agreement. We carried over $20,542. We have loan repayments coming in of $1,458. We would like to loan out more money, so tell your friends and neighbors. But there is like $13,500 this year and $9,500 next year that can be applied for.
What's the interest on it?
It's very low, like 0.5%, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Cemetery endowment is fund number 7. At the end of last year, we transferred all of the irrigation money that was left in the bond to this fund to be utilized at a later date for road improvements and/or other irrigation improvements. So we carried over $132,284. $50 of every cemetery space is put in here, so that amounts to $7,000 both years. We have a land lease out east of town at Sunset at $625,000 a year for that lease. For Sunset, if we need to purchase any cemetery markers, that comes out of here, so that's $2,000 both years. And then we did do a cemetery improvement using those funds of $128,409. And we're showing down below reseal roads and miscellaneous irrigation for that. And if that's not used this year, it can carry over into next year. The funds stay with this fund.
But we are looking at resealing the roads there this year, this coming year,
Hopefully with
right?
that new asphalt
Right,
pavement that you
right.
just
Yeah.
purchased.
So is that kind of budgeted based off of what others have done before?
No, this is, due to all of the construction on that irrigation project last year, it really tore up a whole bunch of roads. And so we
Okay.
need to use those funds in order to repair that. But normally, there's not near that much to spend up there. Okay. Any other questions there? Okay, so fund number 8 is the Community Trust Reserve. I've got a few things to explain here. This has got quite a bit going in it. We carried over $1,732,869. We are constructing the new municipal court evidence building out of this fund. So last year, when you look under 2019, you're gonna see that $521,000 was spent for that project. When you look at 2021, that is the balance, now that we've got the contractor's bid approved, of $1,878,000. We had originally wanted to borrow from the Community Trust Fund internally to pay for this facility. There's not enough money in this fund to do that. So if we come up here under line item 3466, we're gonna do an internal loan with idle funds. We're not gonna charge any interest on that because the repayment is coming from the police department's budget. So there's no reason to charge interest and then have them pay it back, so. So there's where the internal loan is. So then the 275 up above there, 346401, that's a repayment from the police department into this fund. And then you come down below and you've got 602510, 275,000. That's where Community Trust is paying back the idle funds. And this will go for probably 7 years in order to get most of this pay, probably 8 years. So the police department's budget will have $275,000 coming out of it every year for this facility. The other items that go on in here is KDOT cost share payments. In case we do have a KDOT project start up here in 2022, we have revenue coming in of $1,250,000 and then the same expense coming out. Any questions? I've got Mary Carson working on a resolution for the internal loan so that you have that formally documented in the books. Project Safe Neighborhood Grant, they had some expenses in 2021 that are getting reimbursed with a federal grant this year, and then that closes that fund out, so Fund 9. Fund number 10 is DEA forfeiture. They had carryover of $1,085. The revenue from here is for drug forfeiture and then forfeit expense down below. Same for 2022. Fund number 11 is drug enforcement. This is where the K-9 program is. We carried over $45,463 revenue from state tax distribution, drug forfeiture, and then expenses for the K-9 and also training, both years. Fund number 12 is the HIDA grant. This funds one officer. So we have a federal grant income, and then the city share comes from the police department's investigation budget to match it. And this is for one officer and the benefits. Fund 15 is enhanced wireless 911 funds. Carried over $465,186. We get the telephone franchise of $200,000 both years. The maintenance contracts are pretty much the same both years, $144,100. Equipment repairs, training and education, and travel expense. And then new equipment to be used down in the communications area of $37,200. We have a carryover into 2023 of $432,586. Okay, then FINUP Trust, Fund 18. This is funds that we get from the FINUP Foundation to be used in the FINUP Park and also in the Lee Richardson Zoo areas. They had carryover money of $107,489 that they'll be expending on various projects this year. They've also applied for funds for 2021 that they will be hearing here shortly on what amount they get for that, but that is various small projects throughout the parks, and it's very nice to get that kind of money from them. Fund number 19 is the JAG grant. We have a federal grant for $15,000 for new equipment, and so that's money in and money out. Fund number 26, this takes care of all your nuisance items, the weed mowing. We had $56,462 that we carried into here. Also, if we have insurance reimbursement, like for a car that's wrecked, we'll put the insurance proceeds in here and pay out the repair so that it doesn't hit the departmental budget. So that total revenue there is $16,038, and then we have weed cutting, so we're carrying over $52,000 into 2022 to be used for those same activities. Risk management, fund number 27. We transferred $30,000 in from the water and sewer and also the electric fund into this area to be used for any items that would be out of the ordinary from somebody's budget for, like, say, a deductible on a vehicle or general liability claims payment. These are things for outside the normal business cycle. Fund number 29 is your special alcohol drug abuse. The revenue that comes in here is from the liquor consumption tax. A third of it goes to this fund, a third of it goes to special rec and parks, and a third of it goes to the general fund. We carried over $318,908. We're looking at revenue of $111,000 this year and $135,000 next year. and we have contract services budgeted at 125. You have recently approved some of that money, that's on the next page, but just so that you know, you do have additional funds available should some requests come in. We had a carryover into 2023 of $299,908. So there's funds there to be used in future years. Fund number 30 is Special Rec and Parks. We have a tree loan program that we have loan repayments on that come in here. Anytime a new development goes in, they pay the city for a park dedication. Last year, we received $25,400. That goes in here for future parks and subdivisions. So we carried over $233,990 into this fund. And the reason that is so high is that we did have Dean Wiley Park scheduled to have improvements at it last year. Those didn't take place, and they probably won't take place for a little while until we get the park master plan back. So those funds are showing there in new equipment, park improvement, but they are easily carried over into next year. We also do a transfer to the golf course, $40,000 every year. And we have cash carryover going into 2023 of $69,000. Special traffic way goes hand in hand with the general fund street maintenance operations. So I went ahead and put the general fund street maintenance in here so you can kind of see the whole picture. So we have 16 full-time employees in the street maintenance department, along with their benefits. We have maintenance of traffic signals. We have material street repair. This is part of the street repair. The balance of it is in Fund 32. And then we also pay out the public transportation costs of $252,050 this year and next year. And down below, you can see the detail of what we're putting into street maintenance. We've got sidewalks, driveway, cost share program of $20,000 each year and $350 into street maintenance. We do have new equipment. No, not in this one. Oh, and then we also have new community sidewalks. That's one of your CIP programs, and there's $55,000 both years in that. So that has the total of 2021 revised of $1,764,950 and $1,791,950 for 2022. Then we go into Special Traffic Way. This is a special revenue fund that receives state highway funds. This year we're projecting $725,000, and we're also saying the same thing for 2022. We get signal funds from KDOT. And then reimbursed fund exchange, $236,500 both years. And some miscellaneous revenue there. So we carried over $1,711,846. We have total available in 2021 of $2.6 million. And going into the expenses, you're gonna see the various contractual expenses there. There's really no change there except for the fact that we do have contracted federal exchange. Is in 2021, that is listed down below because that is the money that we need to complete the 8th Street program. So we're going to transfer that to that project, but then you do have that money available in 2022. To use on some other project, or you can even add it to the 8th Street if you have something come up that needs those funds. The street repair material is the other big one here at $450,000 both years. And that's the balance of what you saw from the street department budget. And new equipment, you did just approve the purchase of the asphalt laydown equipment of we budgeted at 105 when we prepared the budget, so you're gonna have a little bit left over in that fund for other types of equipment. And in 2022, that is various street department equipment.
Yes, it is that we didn't, somehow I failed to get that on that budget number for the 2022 budget, but in 2022, that includes a spreader box, the skid steer loader buyback equipment, dump truck, cabin chassis. It's going to be a different type of truck. We'll be able to put different beds on the back of that truck, whether it's a roll-off or a flat bed. And then additional liquid de-icer equipment in 2022. So and that comes to $119,650. And if I could just back up for a second, that equipment other is where, like Melinda just said, you authorized the purchase of the paver. That amends the 2021 budget if that gets approved, and then we'll order that other equipment. Okay. Thank you.
Then we have street signs and markings, 212. The total amount in there is $59,500 both years. And in 213, snow removal, we have $39,500 in 2021 and $44,500 in 2022. Do you want to talk about the salt, your ideas on the street salt?
The sand salt material that we purchase that from the county now. They have it already pre-mixed in their bin down there, and then we just take what we need and then we pay them whatever that value is. Our intention is to begin to start mixing some of that ourselves, and we want to actually come to a location that we can store it on north of town. All this material is down here in the fairgrounds. By the time the truck drives all the way down here to get another load and then drives back up, and if he sands his way all the way up there, by the time he gets there, there ain't anything left when you get to Mary Street. So we make it a little bit more comfortable, a little more cost effective rather than driving all the way back and forth. So that's what some of that is. And then the material, the mix, we're actually going to, in a couple cases, there'll be a higher quantity of salt percentage than there is sand, only for like the intersection of 3rd and Mary, where that always gets where those trees are all the time. That'll help keep that melted off faster is our intent. And then along with the liquid de-icer that we're currently using.
Okay. So that has total expenses in 2021 of $1,210,250, and in 2022, $1,114,850. We're showing that the carryover into 2023 is $1,346,550. Workers' compensation carried over $103,868 into 2021. We transfer $980 per full-time employee into this fund to fund the premium on the work comp policy. As you can see down below, that is, this year is $290,677, and next year we're projecting that to be $385,000. So we have total expenses in 2021 of $314,200. We're carrying over $128,800 into 2022. The same expenses, we're showing a cash carryover into 2023 of $69,550. Work comp reserve, this was set up when we were self-funded in workers' comp. And it has a cash balance in it of $988,636. We have some money invested in it, and we're paying just old claims that was probably going to last for quite a few years. But this money is available if you do see a spike in your premium to be able to transfer from it to the operating fund. It's just nice to have a cushion there for work comp.
Kind of a reserve almost.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Community Development, Fund number 50. This is where we have the ESG grant or any other type of city grant that we want to run through here, say for housing or for any community-wide services that need their grant assistance. So we just have a budget in there of $75,000 for revenue and 75,000 going out as grant. Okay, Fund 52 is our economic development loan. Remember making all those loans last year? It's kind of hard to determine what kind of revenue is going to come in because they don't have to pay any of the principal in the first year. So it was a 3-year loan. So these are all just pretty much guesses as to what we think they're going to pay in. But we know over a 3-year time, we're going to be getting all the money back. So for the revenues for 2021 and 2022, they're basically about the same. We're going to be getting a little bit of extra money in, so we put some expenses in for approved loans in case there is anybody that wants to apply. We're carrying over $29,750 into 2022 and carrying over $64,750 into 2023. But like I say, the money is available there for any type of loans, so please encourage those that you know. Fund 53, Project Development Fund. This was set up years ago when we knew about the sales tax, the way the sales tax was going to go, so on the STAR bond. So we started putting funds in here that we knew we were not going to be receiving. Once the STAR bond started up, we quit putting any money in, but it carried over $320,393 into 2021. In the expenses down below, you're going to see downtown projects, 617101, $75,684. That is the balance of the downtown money. There are no funds left for downtown in this budget. City capital projects, that is for, we do have a consultant that we're using, that we're paying some money to for the airport and the general operations. But if any other project came along that we saw fit for this fund, we could use it. Carrying over $100,000 into 2022 and spending the whole fund in 2022, if you want. Fund 58 is housing. We receive a payment in lieu of taxes from the Garden City Housing Authority. And we decided to set that up in a separate fund and just save that money for them over time. They do have a real need for their parking lot, so they were wondering how much they had with the city currently, and they carried over $75,618. I think they might be utilizing some of that money this year in order to get that parking lot done. But it's a good use of money, and they didn't have that money in their budget. And then utility deposit, this is just kind of money in, money out for customers on the city's utilities. We carried over $492,928. We take in roughly $270,000 a year and pay back out $280,000 a year this year. Increased it a little bit next year, but it's just like I say, it's money in, money out. And that's all I have for today. Can I entertain any questions?
Let's go over it one more time.
Yeah, really put everybody to sleep.
Yeah.
No, thank you, Melinda. Good job
Okay,
on that.
thanks. Okay.
Thank you.
No questions? Okay.
Nope.
I guess we'll go on to item F then, the consent agenda. If approved, it's items F1 through 6, unless we want to pull anything off. Are we good?
Yep.
All right.
I move that we approve consent agenda items F1 through F6.
Commissioner Dick made the motion to approve the consent agenda F1 through 6. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Ortiz. Is there any other discussion on that item? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed. All right. Moving on to commission reports. Commissioner Dick.
All right, I'll try to be brief, so I leave some for you, Mayor.
Okay.
Good pre-meeting. Thanks, Mike, for going through all that work to figure out all the things we need to do about the situation with that electric bill and stuff like that. It was really good. Good to see another successful spring cleaning time. That's always a good thing for our city to have and something to be proud of. Also was able to join Dr. Marshall at the airport, and Rochelle went over the terminal expansion plans. I think it was well received, and it's good that we have good support at the governmental levels, not just local, that are encouraging that project and are helpful with us. Again, like we said, thanks to the Finnet Foundation on everything they do for the city, not just this, but specifically with being able to make that shortfall or that gap in the splash pad to be able to redo that without any additional burden to the taxpayers outside of what we already planned for the water park.
Mhm.
So that was good. And then finally, good job to Mike's. Snow crew removal didn't even seem like there was any snow on the road when I woke up this morning.
Okay.
Did they do the airport out there too?
They did, I think, any pavement
Yeah.
in the whole area,
Everything?
everything.
Okay. Commissioner Ortiz.
Yeah, I think Commissioner Dix mentioned everything I was gonna say, plus, so I just ditto him, and we'll call it a day. No. Short and sweet, huh?
Okay.
No, just, I'll go, no, I'll
Okay.
go. I got a couple of other things.
Sure.
But just kind of, being with Commissioner Unruh today as well,
Mhm.
noticed he wasn't here, everybody who's wondering where he's at, so, just hearts and prayers and thoughts go out to him and his family. Also for any others that are going through, a loss, and I know it's hard. I lost my uncle this weekend as well, so, and being in Texas, we didn't travel over there. We kind of had to stay home here and just, I guess just be aware of everyone, what they're going through. It's kind of a hard time for all. So just, my heart goes out to those who are grieving, and just pray that they have a great rest of the week and days to come. So, thanks.
All right. Commissioner Willard.
Yeah, I just want to also thank the Finnet Foundation. I think it's a great public-private partnership. I think it's a great collaboration and a wonderful opportunity to really highlight what Finnet Foundation does. They do a lot for our community and fund an awful lot of projects and agencies and other things that people don't normally see. And so this is a great way to be able to spotlight, again, what they do. I also, I'm excited though about the new splash pad. I mean, with the water park, every time you drive by it and you see all the new progress, we're at that point now where you can actually see progress from afar.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of nice to be able to see that. And so the other thing is I've really enjoyed with the Citizens Academy, just all of the work that goes into that on Facebook, just, being able to see it from the eyes of the community, and the comments have been really well received. And so I just think it's a great opportunity for people to learn a little bit more about the city. And I think it's also great that you guys are doing it that way, because it might spur some interest next year when we're looking for people. So that's all I have.
Thank you. And I went and spoke to third and fourth graders on governance and governing, and kind of steered them into, they were talking about projects, so kind of really steered into talking about the new aquatics park, and really excited about that and all that's happening. It's great to see when you're on the progress on Facebook, and how it's really taking shape and forming. So the countdown's on to the big grand opening, so be prepared. I attended a virtual annual Chamber of Commerce banquet this weekend. It was very well done. I also attended and did a welcome at the American Legion's 8th District Convention that was held here on Saturday, just to welcome all the attendees from around the various parts of Kansas to Garden City. And then I also was out and visited with Senator Marshall out at the airport as we took a tour of the terminal, as well as the tower and just talked about the airport, the new terminal that's coming, that'll be coming online. We'll be getting prepared for that, as we just approved another item for the terminal, but a lot of great progress taking place, and it's just another great day to be in Garden City, even though you wake up in the morning and there's snow on the ground in April, but it's great to be here in Garden City. And on that, I'll call this meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
You're wearing socks today, right, Jennifer?
Am I wearing socks?
You should be wearing socks.
I don't ever wear